how to build a board of directors. Let's talk about it in this video. But really, let's talk about the overarching framework of what you want to assemble. I have a different video that I will link below this one that shares the how to of actually how to tactically go out there and build a team. This is a video I filmed about 3.5 years ago when I actually went out there and assembled a board of directors, a deal team. Okay, so that video is linked below. But in this one, let's talk about the right framework and the right deal team that you do want to construct to get you from 0 to 1. Let's get into it now. Building a board of directors to go out there and buy companies. Here's my take, okay? I don't think that building a board of directors that consists of 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 people or more, when you're trying to go from 0 to 1 and make your first acquisition, I don't think that kind of a team makes any sense whatsoever. Said simply, I would not go out and try to find 2 accountants, right? 2 accountants, 3 lawyers, 2 M&A experts, and 3 industry experts before you even really go out there to try to do a deal. I think it's crazy. Why do I think it's crazy? First of all, I think it's crazy because you're going to be giving away a lot of equity at that point in time. The reason for this is quite simple, right? You don't yet really have a track record. If you're going from 0 to 1, then you've yet to prove yourself as an acquisitions entrepreneur. You've yet to prove that you can go out there and make something happen. And so you're going to be giving away 2 or 3 or even 4 points of equity to every single one of those individuals. And then, of course, there's the illustrious chairman position that many of you asked me about, who some would argue you should give 10% of the company to. So right there, you give away 10%. I don't believe in the chairman, by the way. Okay, but right there, you give away 10% before you even start breathing. You then give away another, let's say, 3% to 8 individuals. 3 times 8 is 24 plus 10. That's 34% of your company that you've given away before you've even done anything. And you may say, yeah, Jason, that may be true, but if I go out and make a whole bunch of acquisitions, then what's the problem? And I actually agree with that logic to an extent. Said simply, what I think you're trying to say there is this idea of I'd rather own 50% of $1 billion business than 100% of $1 million business. That logic is sound. I totally agree. You want to strive for amazing things and aim to build a billion or a multi-billion-dollar business. So I agree with that logic, but let me throw this back into your corner. Okay, first of all, going from 0 to 1 is not rocket science. You partner with the SBA, do an SBA deal, you get in the game. I talk about how to do this at length here on my YouTube channel and across my social media platforms. This is a shameless plug to follow me. And if you're an accredited investor and all this sounds like too much work, go to brightutilities.com. Okay. But for those of you who are trying to go for 0 to 1 and you want to do it yourself, then I talk about how to do your first deal. Do an SBA deal. I mean, I have a bunch of clients that have done it. You can do it. I did it. It's very doable. And here's the key. You don't need 3 lawyers, 3 accountants, 3 industry experts, and 3 M&A professionals and a chairman to get that done. In fact, the lender doesn't even care about anyone on your team with the exception of an industry expert. That's the truth. I was actually shocked. I remember back in the day, built this huge deal team. I had 2 lawyers, 2 accountants, 1 or 2 M&A experts, a chairman, and 3 industry experts. It was a huge team, right? And I was shocked when the lender in the lenders I was talking to didn't hardly care about any of these people. I was of the mind that these people were going to help me build my credibility. They were going to prove I was legit. It was really important. If I didn't have them, I wouldn't be able to get the finance. And what I realized is the only person that the lender cared about was the one with the industry experience and me. The rest they didn't care less about. And this is the exact reason why I don't believe a huge team is necessary. See, here's what I would do instead. And there's a bunch of other reasons, by the way. I mean, by the way, if you have 8 or 9 or 10 people when you start, chances are not all of them are going to work. So then you have all this chaos as far as getting rid of people and cutting the dead weight, and it's a pain in the ass. And if they're clever, they may try to sue you or at least cause problems. Gosh, I could go on and on and on about all the reasons why it's not a good idea to have a huge team. And I personally had a huge team and I had to cut the fat. Okay. But let me just focus instead of what not to do. Let's focus on what to do because that's much more applicable and much more practical. Okay, here's what to do instead. Okay, get a great industry expert. That's number one. Give them 2 to 4 points of equity, 2 to 4 percentage points of equity in the parent company, or if you want to be more aggressive, 2 to 4 percentage points in the specific deal that you're going to do as you go from 0 to 1. By the way, on the industry expert, let's talk about the kind of person you're looking for. Okay, this is huge. Preferably, you're looking for somebody who has both started a company in your industry and successfully sold it for a 7-figure exit, and somebody who has experience working as a senior manager or preferably even a C-suite level executive in a large 8 or 9 or even 10-figure enterprise in your industry, right? So you're looking for somebody who's both been entrepreneurial and had a successful exit, and somebody who has that executive level experience in a major outfit in your sector. Often what'll happen is somebody will get into the industry in their 20s. They'll grind it out for 5 or 10 years, kind of at the lower level. They'll then at that point raise through the ranks a little bit within the company that they worked at. And then usually around their early to mid 30s, they'll say, hey, do you know what? Screw this. I'm going to start my own thing. They'll start their own thing. They'll start their company. They'll grow their company. They'll ultimately sell their company. Let's say they sell it when they're 40 or 45. They then sell their company to a major player, and that major player both buys them out and hires them on as a senior level manager. And they work through the ranks and then get to, say, C-suite. Maybe they're a COO or even a CEO of a major enterprise in the sector, a major player. And then after some number of years, they say, do you know what? Screw this. They hang up their boots, and then they're on their ranch. They're in their nice home. They're relaxing. They've seen the grandkids a few too many times. They've seen their kids a few too many times. They're bored. And that's when you call and you give them an opportunity to be an advisor or an industry expert as you go out and consolidate a sector. So that's really the ideal industry expert. All right, let's get back to the main part of the video, but I wanted to talk about that because it's really important to know what you're looking for. And by the way, somebody in their 50s or 60s is great, and preferably somebody who lives in your same state, and ideally in the same city as you. But the most important thing is they have the right experience as both an entrepreneur and as a senior manager or a C-suite executive in a major enterprise in your sector. Next, get a great accountant, preferably somebody that worked at PwC, E&Y, Deloitte, one of the big four, KPMG. Perhaps you could go to the next tier down, which is like Grant Thornton and RSM, and you can Google all the big accounting firms. But you're looking for somebody specifically who has audit experience. Somebody who knows how to audit tax returns, P&Ls, bank statements, and P&Ls. Somebody that knows how to audit and investigate and analyze financial documents. Super important. You do need this individual, okay? And even if you know how to read a P&L and a balance sheet, still, trust me, it's worth it. Give this individual maybe 2 to 3 percentage points of the company, or if you want to be more aggressive, you don't have to give away parent company equity. You could give away subsidiary level equity, but 2 to 4 percentage points there is a winner. And then get yourself an M&A attorney, somebody that's worked in a competitive legal environment, preferably somebody who's been a partner at a top 100 law firm. If they haven't made it to partner, they should at least have made it to counsel. For those of you who don't know, basically the process when you are a lawyer is you start as, like a junior associate or an associate, and then you graduate to a senior associate. You then go to counsel, and then once you go past counsel, you then make partner. And then ultimately there's managing partner, but that person usually is very focused in their legal career. They're not going to go jump off of that raft to get into your boat. They're usually committed at that point. But you really want somebody who has been there, done that with regards to M&A transactions. Now, spoiler alert, this M&A attorney that you get, who's probably worked on transactions from 15 million all the way up to 15 billion in size, surprisingly will have a lot of studying up to do to help you do your first transaction, which is probably going to be in the realm of $1 to $5 million. That's what I advise. That's what I advise my clients to do. That's an SBA deal. It really is a perfect platform for you to get in the game while you maintain the majority of the equity. And it's a great place to build a track record. Okay. But this M&A attorney is actually not going to have much experience doing deals in that range. They will have a bunch of experience doing deals in the 50 to 500 to $50 billion range. That's usually where they play because that's where the private equity players and the big players that sign their checks, that's where they play. But they will have some learning to do. Now, the good news is the SBA is in these kind of sub $10 million deals. It's much less competitive. The purchase agreements are pretty well spelled out. It's pretty hard to screw up. But at the same time, remind your lawyer to stay humble enough to what? Not make an ass out of him or herself in the process. I've seen it happen firsthand. Okay. But that's really all you need. Industry expert, accountant, lawyer. The end. Give each of them somewhere between 2 to 4 points of equity, and you hold on to 90%. Go out and do your first deal. And then, if you want to build a bigger team, and there's a place for a bigger team, but do it after you've gone from 0 to 1. Because after you've gone from 0 to 1, now you have the almighty track record. And when you have the almighty track record, you have leverage in the negotiation. You have leverage. And when you have leverage, you can cut them down from 3 percentage points to 0.3 percentage points. That's huge. That's a 10x difference, which means you could bring 10 people on if you want a huge team and you want to have a ton of advisors. You could bring 10 people on, give them each 0.3% in the parent company. And combined now, you literally gave away the same amount of equity that you would have given to one person if you did it before you got your first deal done. So that's the nuance that I think has to be discussed in this game of mergers and acquisitions and of buying companies and building a deal team or a board of directors, as some call it. Yes, there's a place to, surround yourself with wise counsel. Absolutely. But also, I'll say this as well. Before you get your first deal done, and it's understandable, but you don't know what you don't know. I think about myself before I did my first deal, and I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Sure, I had learned from my mentor at the time, and I'd gained some insight. I studied around the internet. I watched videos like this. Okay, but when you're going from 0 to 1, you don't know what you don't know, and you're really poor. At least I was, and presumably most everyone is quite poor at differentiating what's fact from what's fiction. Notwithstanding, after you go through the process of buying your first company, you're going to be a lot better, not perfect, but you're going to be a lot better off at deciphering fact from fiction, at deciphering what smells kosher versus what smells spoiled. And this will really help you in interviewing, candidates to join your team as an advisor or a board, on a board of directors in quotes. And so I guess what I'm really saying is give away as little equity as necessary. Go through that process of going from 0 to 1. Only bring in the essentials to start. Cross the chasm. Go from 0 to 1. Get some experience. Learn, what's up versus what's down. Get your bearings. And then go out there and build a real deal team to help you go to 10 million, 100 million and beyond. That's my advice. I think it's going to save you a ton of headache and heartache and just a ton of time too. Going out and trying to find 10 quality people when you don't yet have a track record is a pain in the butt. I know from experience. I did it. Okay. But that's what I would do instead. Now, with that said, if you want more information and more assistance with regards to buying companies, go to jasonpaulrogers.com. If you're an accredited investor and all of this sounds like too much work and you'd rather get a high rate of return by riding on somebody else's coattails, go to brighterutilities.com. Thumbs this thing up if you've appreciated this video. Share your comments below. What would you like me to talk about next? I just moved. I've got a better place here for filming. I'll be making a lot more content about buying businesses. So if you like this and you want me to talk about other topics, share in the comments below what you'd like me to discuss. I think that's it. Oh yeah, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You know the drill. And I'll talk to you in the next one. Thanks for watching. We'll talk soon.